This situation began a year ago and blew up in our faces last week. My son Gregory is 13 years old. He just began the 8th grade. His friend, Peter, is also 13 and began the 8th grade too. Gregory and Peter have been friends since elementary school. Last year, I noticed that Gregory would be ravenously hungry after school every day. He would come home and eat a frozen dinner or something, and then help himself to seconds at dinner time. I chalked this up to him being a 12-year-old boy and let it be. Something about the situation was nagging at me though, and while Gregory wasn't clear about why at first, he eventually came clean. Peter was being sent to school every day with no lunch. It looks to me like a typical case of neglectful and unfit parents. The one time that Gregory went to their house, he came home with comments about it smelling really bad and his Peter's parents locking themselves in the garage for hours. Feeling bad for Peter, I decided to discreetly begin giving Gregory more food every day, just about doubling all his food. Over time I became less discreet and began packing a separate lunch for Peter. I was never thanked for this by anyone, but I knew Peter was eating the food I sent. This year, things are different. Money is tighter for personal reasons and frankly with how expensive things are, I have decided not to spend exorbitant amounts of money supporting someone else's child. I sat Gregory down and told him that I would be packing him one lunch which is for him and him alone. I made it extremely clear, do not share with anyone, and this includes Peter. Gregory followed my instructions until one day last week I got a phone call from Peter's mother. She was livid that I had cut Peter off without a single word. I asked her when it became my responsibility to feed her son, and she responded that if she had known I wasn't sending Gregory to school with too much food, she would have handled it herself. I asked if she remembered why I began sending him to school with 2 lunches in the first place and she hung up on me. I feel conflicted. I know I'm having my kindness thrown back in my face, but did I approach this situation incorrectly? The first comment is, info, have you gone to the school or child services about this? The second comment is, why haven't you reported this to child services? Something is wrong with Peter's home environment. Peter needs help. The third comment is, if you know he isn't being fed, I wonder what else is happening that you don't know about. The fourth comment is there a reason you haven't contacted CPS or the school about this? The fifth comment is, everyone sucks here, except the kids. Children going hungry is everyone's business, and he was relying on you. You make no mention of trying to contact anyone about this, or trying to find another solution, you just cut off his access to food. If you can't afford it or don't want to feed this child, that's your prerogative, but then you reach out to those who can. You talk to the school district, you talk to the PTA, you talk to whoever you need to, you don't just turn a blind eye to a child going hungry and say not my kid, not my problem. For all you know that lunch was the only meal that boy was getting every day. Why didn't you reach out to his parents ever? This is your son's best friend and it sounds like you don't know them or have any idea what their home life is like at all. Why didn't you reach out to the school to see what low-income support they might have to make sure this child didn't go hungry? I'm really disheartened to see how many people have said not the a-hole, and that it isn't your problem. You haven't made any effort to see if this child is neglected/abused or if the family is just extremely poor. You're not TA for not being able to afford to feed a child that's not yours, but you are TA for washing your hands of the situation completely and making your child cruelly withhold food from his best friend.